So I'm joined by Matthew Burrows. We've heard some of your thoughts on the factual side. Do you think we actually need this version of ITIL?
I think we probably did need some elements of it. I think some people are going to find the corrections and the greater interpretation and the examples very useful. I think also there are going to be some people that probably get a little bit worried about the fact that it's a lot bigger. So the size of it could be seen as a negative to some people because it's more content to get through. But a lot of that additional content is clarification, it's more examples, so some of it's quite useful.
So does the increased size, does that actually cater for the industry? Is that the good thing for the industry, or is it just a bigger mishmash of stuff to wade through?
I took the view that probably my customers were going to expect me to know the stuff that was in there. Regardless of whether I recommend that we apply what it says in the books for their particular projects.
Are you getting feedback from your customers with an expectation of how that they might actually use ITIL 2011?
I'm getting quite mixed feedback actually. There are some people that are just really worried about it and almost tempted to ignore it, despite the fact that you can tell them it's not a new version, it is a new edition of the previous version that came out in 2007. It still looks like a big target for them to hit. So some people are quite scared about it and tempted not to bother. Other people are always hungry for more knowledge and more examples and more information. And if they use the books appropriately and dip into the bits that they would find useful, the bits that they're trying to challenge rather than reading them cover to cover, they might get something out of it.
You mentioned it being a framework and you need to find the bits to ignore. How do you decide or know which bits to ignore?
If you treat it as input that you've got to think about and make a rational decision on which bits you use, then that's probably the most appropriate way to do it. I think behind your question was how do people know which bits to actually look at, and it's very difficult to advise them really unless you've got the practical experience of doing it before and knowing which bits will work well in their situation.
What do you think different parts of the industry can do to help?
You mentioned ITSMF. It has a number of special interest groups. One of them around service level management has done exactly that. It's taken the theory and it's actually created a book that is all about how it's applied. A very practical practitioner's guide, not a theoretical academic book.
So do we really need ITIL? Playing devil's advocate, we could just survive with ISO 20000.
Sometimes it's actually easier for people to start with ISO 20000 as their core framework, and that will give them most of what they need. And then they use ITIL as an additional reference when they want to get down into detail of those particular areas.
So for practitioners watching this, what couple of key points of guidance would you give them around ITIL 2011?
I think it's about how you apply it, and I think there's no harm. Why wouldn't you look at the section that's relevant to the particular projects you're doing and see if it helps?
Matthew, once again, thanks very much.
Thank you.